played around the world. His music will live forever. His moves, the inspiration that he gave as a crossover artist, people will remember him, and each in their own way forever. And like we said, little kids on the playground are doing the moonwalk, and people are remembering where they first heard the Michael Jackson music. And I'm remembering spending days on the set with him, seeming so fragile, and you almost didn't want to talk to him or bother him. And then when it was time to perform, I was on a set in the middle of the desert, I don't know, way over 100 degrees. Michael just pops up, performs, gave it his all, and gave that same spirit to the camera that he gave in live performance. And also, let's not forget what he contributed to the video art form. He turned videos into something quite different. His videos will be remembered and played forever.
Jeannie, you said you were part of Michael Jackson's inner circle. When's the last time that you had any contact with him?
Now, that all changed when the big trial came, and I haven't seen him in several years. I think the last time I saw him, there was a tribute to him, even after some of the troubles had started, and he was surrounded by security guards, and they were keeping everyone away, and he saw me, and he said, no, let Jeannie come through, and told me how proud he was that he was receiving an award, and how good he felt about himself. I've been hearing stories lately about
Jeannie,
his excitement about the new tour and his fears.
Jeannie, sorry for interrupting you there. We're just looking at pictures coming into us here on Hollywood TV. This appears to be the Los Angeles Fire Department paramedic crew arriving at, it appears to be, Michael Jackson's home. This, of course, reported on the TMZ website a couple of hours ago that paramedic crews were called to Michael Jackson's Los Angeles home in Holmby Hills at 12:21 local time. It's reported that he'd had a cardiac arrest and paramedics attempted to resuscitate him at the scene. Well, it's now known that he died from cardiac arrest, and we've had confirmation from the coroner that Michael Jackson was pronounced dead after arriving at the hospital, and that an autopsy will be held on Friday, it's thought, in the UCLA hospital in Los Angeles. These are the first moving pictures we have in from Hollywood TV, as you can see there, of what's thought to be the paramedic crew arriving at the 50-year-old pop star's home earlier this evening. The TMZ website were reporting that there were scenes of chaos when he arrived at the UCLA hospital, with members of his team, his family who arrived with him, screaming, "You must save him, please save him." All those pictures now appear to have stopped, but it's thought they are grainy images of the paramedics arriving at Michael Jackson's home earlier today, called just around lunchtime, local time, performed CPR, it's thought, on site at the home. Then he was rushed to UCLA hospital. His family, of course, were called immediately. It's reported his brothers were rushing to the scene at the hospital. Well, we were speaking a moment ago to Jeannie Wolfram, West Coast editor for Parade magazine. Jeannie, we're just looking at pictures of the scene at UCLA hospital, where hundreds of people are gathering. We can see the crowds getting bigger and bigger by the moment. Not just media crews, but as we were saying, ordinary people, people who want to pay their respects to a man who will be remembered. How would you sum him up?
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Jeannie. I'm not sure if you just heard what I was asking you. I was just saying,
I did.
How would you
I'm sorry,
sum
I couldn't hear your question.
How would you sum up Michael Jackson as a person who knew him? As you said, you were part of his inner circle. On a personal note, how would you describe him, the man?
I would describe him as almost indefinable. Very, very shy and fragile, and very strong, and a perfectionist, and a great leader when it came to getting his music exactly the way he wanted. He knew how he wanted his dancers surrounding him. He would redo a song over and over again, and I remember one seasoned sound mixer saying, "I couldn't believe it. We finally got what we wanted in the middle of the night," and Michael just broke down into tears. He took his music and his life and his dedication to young children and charity very seriously, and people just adored him beyond words.
You said that you didn't have any contact with him after the last court case. How did that impact on him? Because, of course, he's obviously a controversial figure with those child molestation charges against him.
I think his depression worsened. I think his health worsened. I think he was embarrassed and ashamed, and I also think he was in financial difficulty. He tried to hide. He went all over the world trying to hide, and there was always somebody who wanted to be near him and always somebody who wanted to save him, but at a price. So that in the end, when he was committed to doing these concerts in London, he was excited about the fact that they were sold out and that the love for him still existed, and frightened and exhausted at the prospect of doing as many shows as they had committed him to.
And did you see him with his children very often? Of course, he leaves 3 young children behind now. Were you part of that? Did you see him in his inner circle?
I had seen him with his children, but in those years when I was around him, they were much younger, and he was much more protective. What I did see him with often was a string of children who would just come down to watch him on the set. He was like the Pied Piper who hung on his every word, and he may not have had time for the press. He may have been shy around all kinds of people, but for children, he came alive, and you could see him kidding around. You could see the boyish side of him. You could see the concerned and caring side of him.
Yeah, we've got pictures that we're just going to play now, Jeannie, of that controversial episode, which you might remember, of him dangling his youngest child over a balcony. It was while he was on tour, I think, in Europe several years ago. And
the baby dangling incident will follow him forever. You know, it was very hard, even for people who knew him, to decide whether he was exuberant or excited or didn't know what he was doing, or whether he knew exactly what he was doing, because he absolutely had the knack for getting worldwide attention. It may not have been the kind of attention that you and I would want, but Michael Jackson somehow knew how to bring his eccentricities out in public, how to fascinate people. They didn't get tired of his music, and they didn't get tired of the saga of his life, and he always surprised them, including, I'm sad to say, even today.
OK, Jeannie Wolf, thanks very much for joining us tonight here on Sky News. Let's join Uri Geller now, close personal friend of Michael Jackson. Michael, thank you very much for being with us. We spoke to you just around an hour ago when this news first broke, and you were understandably extremely upset, and you've had time now for this news to sink in. Have you spoken to any of Michael's family at all?
No, it's impossible to reach them. Everyone is devastated worldwide. It's shocking. Everyone was waiting for this huge comeback here in London. I know for a fact that he was rehearsing, practicing. He was in good shape. He sat right here where I'm sitting right now. He was my best man when I renewed my wedding vows. Just to think that the world lost Michael Jackson and Michael is not alive anymore is just unreal. It's surreal. It's still, I cannot penetrate into my psyche. I cannot believe that Michael is gone.
When was the last time that you spoke to him?
I don't want to comment about personal things. I had my ups and downs with Michael, by the way. I had rows with Michael. I think that I was one of the very few people who dared to shout at Michael when I thought he was doing the wrong things. I pray to God that his soul is up there in heaven, and, you know, I can feel the sadness and the shock factor emanating out from hundreds of millions of people around the world who are trying to digest the fact, the hard fact that he's gone.
I appreciate you don't want to talk too much about your last conversations with Michael Jackson, but as far as his health is concerned, what did you understand his state of health to be?
Look, I'm not a doctor, but I can only assume that he was under tremendous, tremendous pressures and stress. And you can ask any doctor, stress is a killer. And I think that, and this is my own theory, that the anticipation of this mammoth challenge that was coming up upon him, doing these 50 concerts, wanting to be close to perfection when he was going to be on stage, put him under huge, huge pressures. That could have been it. Again, this is just my opinion.
Was it therefore, in your view, a mistake for him to undertake this 50-date tour?
I do not think it was a mistake to take the tour, but I think it was a mistake to do so many shows, to target 50 shows. I think 3, 4, 5, maximum 10, but to do 50 is just, I mean, it's hard for any super artist, anyone. Michael wasn't 18, but he was very, very fit, both in his mind, in his soul, and physically.